Hi, in this video, we're going to be looking at a question from the NSC sub-paper, May-June 2024. It's a question on functions, and it's pertaining to the log graph and the inverse of the log graph, which is the exponential graph. So, we start off with the question. I'm going to quickly read through the question. In the diagram, f of x is equal to log a to the x, and you'll notice that f of x is the log graph, and they have given us a point on a log graph called p, which is your xy value, to be 4, 2. Now graph G is the reflection of f on the line y equal to x. Y equal to x means it's the inverse of the log graph, and then the graph passes through 4, 2, which we've indicated is the x-intercept of f, and r is the y-intercept. Okay, there we have the y-intercept. And the first question in 5.1 is write down the coordinates of the image of p on G. So because it's a reflection of the graph, then all we have to do to find the reflection of p, which is the inverse, we swap x and y. So that point will actually become the image, which would be 2, 4. There's our x and there's our y value. The next question says, show that a is equal to 2. So we have the equation which we're going to write down. Just going to change the color of the pen. And the equation given here is f of x is equal to log. So to find a, we have to sub a point on the graph. And the point given on the graph is p, which is 4, 2. So the y value is 2. And the x value is 4. And the base is a. Now remember, we are not finding the inverse. So we don't have to swap x and y. We are trying to find a value of a by substituting a point on the graph. So what we're going to do is change this to exponential form. And in exponential form, we have the base, which is a, the exponent, which is 2. So we have a squared is equal to 4. And if you find a, it's the square root of 4. And we're going to take positive, all right, as the function in this case is a function that is, if you actually look at the log graph, it's actually increasing. So a would be equal to 2. Now, the question said show that a is equal to, which confirms our answer. The next question is write down the equation of G. Now, G is the inverse. So now we're going to find the inverse of f. So in finding the inverse, you start off with step 1, y is equal to log. And now we found a, so we can now replace a with 2. So step 1, swap x and y. So we get x is equal to log y base 2. That is step 1. We're swapping x and y for an inverse. The next step is to write in exponential form. So we got our base, which is 2, the exponent, which is x, which is equal to y. So y is equal to 2 to the power x. And that's the equation of G. We go to the last question. I want you to read while I erase. Okay, the last question, it says, T is a point of F. T is a point on F in the first quadrant, such that, or where TR is parallel to the x-axis. So we know definitely that that is a vertical line, all right? It's parallel to the, actually, let me change the color. So we know it's parallel to the x-axis, and we're going to call that point T. Then calculate the area of RT and the image of P. Now remember, we found the image of P to be 2, 4. So let's quickly go find point T before we go on. So we know that the R value, R is the y-intercept of G. Remember, we have our equation y equal to 2 to the x. To find a y-intercept, we let x to be 0, and that should give us 1. So we know that the coordinates of R is actually 0, 1, which we can put down. That means we know the y value for t to be 1. Now we have the equation, so all we have to do is sub in the equation. Remember, that is the log graph, and the log graph equation is log x base 2 is actually equal to the y value of 1. And we're going to change this into exponential form, base 2 to the power 1, which is equal to x. So we know the x value of t would be 2. Okay, so we know that t is the point 2, 1. Now we're going to find this image, which we already found, which is 2, 4. Now it's sharing the same x value. I just want to clear my screen a little. Now, if it's the point 2, 4, it's in line with this point T, which would be somewhere on the top. Alright, and the coordinates there is, we found it out in question 5.1 to be 2, 4. And then we're going to draw a beautiful triangle. And because they share the same x value of 2, we know this is a vertical line. So we do have a right angle triangle. And the formula to find the area is actually half base times height. So we know that the area of this triangle, RT, and the image of P is actually equal to half base times height. Now RT is going to be our base, which is 2 units. So we know that RT is equal to 2 units, which is our base. And to find our height, it's the image of PT, which is your vertical line. And all we got to do is subtract the y values. You got 4 minus 1 giving you 3 units, which is your height. And we put into a formula, we're going to get a half base, which is 2, times a height of 3. And that should actually give us 3 units squared. And that's it. Thank you.